Hi everyone. I was finally able to record a Deeping Wall raid where it was a full platinum run. As you can see, this one started. We'd probably been in the raid for about 4 or 5 minutes before I kind of realized, like, hey, I'm going to record this one. I wasn't even too worried whether I was going to get a full platinum or not. I just wanted to actually get one actually recorded. So I just quickly hit the record button, and here we are. And it just happened to turn out that we got the perfect group of side quests. Now, there's several bugs along the way. Every time there's a new update, something ends up screwing up on these. So there's always like a random group of side quests that are the easiest to do, and at this point in time, the ones I've had the best luck on for getting a full platinum, and I've done it I think twice or 3 times now, is where you start on the western wall, then your second wave is on the east wall, and you end the raid on the center wall. That gives you the easiest group. So that just happened. You have a very small chance of actually that happening. One thing I do to try to trigger it on the west, and there's no proof this works. I've heard people do it, and I do it every time just in case, but I don't think it actually works. It's just all random. But when you enter the raid, have everyone run to the far west and start putting everyone in a two-handed stance and build up the rock drops on the west, not touching any other sections, and that sometimes people say that triggers the west to start first. Now, usually I do that almost every single time to get it on the west, but we always end up starting on the center, except this time, which was one of the rare occasions we actually start on the west, which was awesome. Now, as you can kind of see from the layout, I have it divided up into 3 groups of 4. The first 2 groups are the side quest teams. They're the ones that peel off and go take care of the side quests, and group 3, I'm sorry, is the wall team, and they stick on the wall for the most part the entire time. They're in charge of just keeping the banners up, keeping the soldiers up. Every now and then that is an impossible task for them, which I'm still trying to figure out the best layout for everyone, but in a nutshell, having 4 people on the wall is generally enough to get the job done. Every now and then I'll send someone else to help them, or I'll peel the wall team off to help out with us for a while, but this is generally the basic layout I start each raid with, and I put like an icon over one person from each team, Side Quest 1, Side Quest 2, and wall team, just because a lot of times, especially in the raids I lead for this, I don't invite people that know what they're doing necessarily. I like bringing in people that just want to get a feel for it, or just to try it out, because it's actually a very enjoyable raid. But I put icons over one person each group's head so that the other 3 in that team kind of know where to stick to. Now, of course, like when you start this raid, this isn't one where you can just have people in it. You can just invite people and launch it and expect a good run. Like, you really need to actually lead this one. Nothing against people that don't like talking during the raid, but if you're going to lead this thing, you really need to be given directions, and I know I type like a 2nd grader, so if I'm leading this thing, I'm actually given like verbal orders. I'm not typing this stuff out. I've been in raids, joined ones where no one really gives order or direction, and it's just a complete disaster. Like, we'll skate by and get maybe silvers and whatnot, but for the most part, you need to actually have at least about 2 or 3 people that know exactly what it needs to do. And then the other 9, as long as they're willing to listen and take orders, 3 people can lead this raid successfully. You don't need like a dedicated group night after night. You can just, like I said, 3 people that know what they're doing can lead this raid successfully for everyone else. And see, here it is, the breaching the Hornburg, which starts on the west. For this one, I bring the entire raid, all 12 people in right off the bat, to take out this first wave of enemies. It's usually the first wave is the doozy wave. It's nice to just really burn them down. Once that first wave is dead, send the wall team back out onto the wall to help out, and that's generally enough. I even send additional people to help out on the wall as each wave goes by, because it's like, it diminishes the amount of enemy that come up these windows seems to get a little smaller, so to the point where like 4 people can actually handle it. Especially when you have the tripwires and the caltrops and that one barricade there, it's a breeze. And you really don't want to sacrifice the wall. Like, you'll end up losing soldiers every now and then. You get a gargantuan amount of enemy commanders up on the wall, and that's just a huge bummer. But this is definitely one of the easier side quests right here. The only thing you have to watch out for is make sure in your teams, you can kind of see the way I have it divided up. Each side quest team has a tank to call some aggro if they need to, and generally some type of class I can put out some heals, because there's those wounded soldiers and healing supplies right by the windows, and those are very squishy, so you really want to have people targeting those constantly and popping heals on them. Now if you look at how I have the wall team divided up, I've seen some people have only 2 people on the wall and they do fine. I've had it where people have 6 on the wall and they fail. It's really hard to decide who you want on your wall, but I generally like having 2 or 3 healers up there that can heal the banners. And in this case I have 2 healers because I was really light on healers for this run. And 1 tank where if some of the enemies are swarming one particular of our commanders, then they just call aggro and kite them into a section while not getting attacked. It works pretty slick. And I also have a ranged DPS class up there, which is perfect because that person can spend the entire time cutting the grappling hooks and ladders, and while they're doing that they can just wheel around on the spot and do nasty DPS while cutting the stuff down. Those 2 actions don't interrupt each other, so I like having 1 hunter up there. Another thing nice about this side quest, having a couple hunters, is they can just perch in the door and clear off the wall for them, kind of lighten the load for the wall team. And just also when the waves come up, they just pretty much wheel around and just focus back on the door. And I believe, yep, I am in my Vanguard stance, which I'm learning in the raid. It's nice to have 1 or 2 Vanguards out there. It really makes a big difference. They have a couple skills they can do that can increase like the incoming damage for the enemy, and it can, hit like 6, 7, 8 of the enemies at once, and it just peels them down like carving a cake. It's absolutely awesome. I mean, an engineer is still more overall handy, but when you have a bunch of engineers running around, it's kind of just like a waste to have a bunch of tripwires near each other. Once the enemy hits a tripwire, they're immune to it for, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. And the caltrops and bear traps are always nice, but after a while, there's only so much those traps can do. Having a couple, like a Vanguard or 2 out there that can, do the, give that little extra DPS is awesome. As you can see there, which I didn't realize until this run, 1 person got 2 gold drops at the same exact time from the same platinum cash out. So apparently that happens. I didn't realize. I thought when you platinum cashed out you either got a teal or you got a gold. But he got 2 golds plus his teal set piece. And unfortunately he was the only guy that got any gold for this entire raid. He got the only drops, but what a hell of a drop for him. I mean, that made that entire run worth it. And I like actually doing these. I don't even care that, like, say you only get all golds, like only gold completion, so you don't get any actual gold jewelry or first stage symbols. It's still worth it just because of the marks and medallions you get. You get like 3,000 marks. It's awesome. And after that side quest is done, I like to run over here and start working on my catapult. Everyone will be on the west and I will be over here on the east. In my head, what that means is I'm trying to trigger it so that I start on the next side quest is on the far east. I don't know if that works. It worked in this case, or maybe it was just random in our favor, but that's what I do. I now stand over here and get the catapult ready for the next wave. And one thing that there's certain cases where you actually want to use the catapults to take out the ground enemies out there, those ground troops marching up. For the most part, you want to leave them alone. Now, the reason that you sometimes want to clear them out and sometimes don't is you really only want to clear them out completely if you're really going to clear like entire waves out down there. You don't want to just like, what I used to try to do is thin the crowd out a bit, so I'd load up a grape shot, put some powder on it, and just launch into the middle of the waves marching up. Just what I thought I was doing was clearing out some of the riffraff to make it a lighter load on the wall. But what that ended up doing, we found out, is that clears out the weak things like sappers and the little stuff that scales the wall, and what you end up getting instead is entire waves of what's left over, which are the strong things like berserkers, and the worst are the enemy commanders, which that actually used to happen quite a bit before we changed up our tactics. Is we'd have entire waves of just commanders scaling the wall, and they would burn through our troops in just a matter of seconds. Like when you get a wave of about 15 enemy commanders coming at you, 4 people on the wall doesn't mean anything. We end up it's just a lost cause at that point in time. So what we ended up doing is, and it's what I used to do before I switched it up, but now I switched back, is just use the catapults to take out the enemy catapults. Once you have those enemy catapults down, just stop using the catapults altogether, because you don't want to take out too many of the enemy. And another reason you don't want to take too many out is if you kill too many, the wave is a lot shorter, and then you'll end up getting your next side quest, and the next wall will be getting attacked while you're still working on the previous side quest. So now it's just a case of just kill those enemy catapults and then leave the rest alone. But on certain side quests, there are cases where the wall gets attacked hard and the side quest is really hard. So what you'll want to do is literally all 3 catapults, taking out all the enemies on the ground. Just wipe them out as much as possible so that you can pretty much abandon the wall and all 12 people can focus on the side quest. That's something that you want to do for like it's sappers or vandals in the tower. I'm not sure which one it's called, but it's one where pretty much all 12 people need to assist on the side quest. So you want to take out as many main enemies as possible with the catapults. That way you can almost abandon the wall or leave it unguarded, and everyone can just pile in the towers or down below. But in this case, with the side quests we got, you'd want to just take out the catapults and leave the rest well enough alone. On a nice placed grape shot, if you have grape shot perfectly placed, you can actually kill 4 catapults with 1 shot. I don't always get it, but it's nice when it happens. Usually you just get 2. If you have the damage upgraded, it's a 1-shot kill, so I always use the grape shot. I suppose if you want, you can, like, well, see that first row of enemies still marching up. If you're quick enough, you can hit those guys on with a catapult just to speed up the side quest. But I really don't like doing that in the raid because I like having everyone in the right spot. It gives me extra time to dictate like wherever it needs to go, because there's a lot of moving parts in all of these side quests. And like, you know, a lot of time if you recruit from GLF or from World or something like that, you got people that probably don't know how to run it all the time. So it gives you a chance to run around while the enemy's just marching up. You have a good 5 minutes to just walk people through and make sure everyone knows what their job is, where they're gotta be, and if you got any little minor caveats you gotta offer out there. It gives you a chance to walk people personally through, which I'll do. I'll escort people to individual spots where I want them to focus. You know, this is a big raid, not everyone here is especially like very well versed in it, so you actually really do need to walk people through. Don't just be like, hey, go down by the culvert, like so and so, go by the culvert and stand there. If the person doesn't know where the culvert is, you just wasted a person and they don't know what to do, and they may not like the raid anymore and they may not want to join. So definitely helps to just really walk people through the job. Unfortunately, in this particular run, you start with 2 barricades, which I preach it in every single run I do. Use those barricades, they are a lifesaver. But we had 1 on the wall, which I've been doing more and more, is 1 for the side quest, 1 for the wall team. And unfortunately, one of ours that was on the wall got destroyed, which is actually kind of a good thing, because that means that enemy archers and enemy sappers were focusing on that barricade before on the banners, and it makes kind of a handy little diversion. Yeah, this one, I'm not sure, I think it's called a flanking foe for this next side quest. That's the one you always get if you're on the second side quest on the east wall. It's always a flanking foe. So you can always plan ahead. There's a lot of guides online for what side quests will be where, and I really suggest reading up on those. That way you are well prepared for what you're going to have to do. And this particular side quest isn't too difficult. You just got to make sure that You know, like Gimli's going to be running around with some cadets, and there's going to be laborers, and they're made of like 1 morale, so they don't take too many hits. So you really got to be watching that stuff, and I also preach it whenever I'm in the raid. Oh, and by the way, just so everyone's realized, I did record this one with the audio, but unfortunately in this particular version, it only recorded my audio. No one else, not the game, nothing. It was just me talking to pretty much nobody, it sounds like. And it didn't record the other people talking back or anything like that, so I just decided to mute it and just kind of do a little walkthrough of like the entire thing. It's a little bit easier for me because I'll stumble over words or I'll make wrong guesses, or people will talk over each other in the actual audio, so it's actually a little cleaner this way, I suppose. And I can see everyone is down here waiting for the side quest. The wall's usually well taken care of at this point in time. In between side quests, when it's just normal waves up there, the wall team definitely has it under control, so it's very nice to always be prepared ahead of time so people can drop tripwires and caltrops and the barricades and all that stuff. You know, build up all their buffs or whatever they gotta do. And now, since we're all the side quest teams are down here right now and kind of waiting, and it's still no side quests at this point in time, I'd either run up myself, or I'd tell the wall team people like, hey, drop the rock drops, drop those on their heads, because once that first front row of enemies are dead, then the side quest starts. So at this point in time, just for time constraints, because you really don't want the main quest to end before the side quest, I would tell them to just either leave all the ropes and ladders up so that the enemy can advance quicker, or just drop rock drops, which is a lot safer just to drop the rock drops on them. And here we go, finally. Like I said, this is a pretty easy one as long as people are protecting the weak things. It's also a very good idea to designate 1 or 2 people from the side quest teams that I kind of call like the support guys. What they do is that if the side quest teams have things pretty well under control, or if the wall team says something, definitely have someone on the wall team that's verbal and shouts out like when there's a banner on fire or someone needs so and so or watch this and that. Have some people from the side quest team, 1 from each group, so that if they have to leave and go up and help on the wall, you still got 3 on each side. So definitely designate people that can run back and forth, like run up on the wall, cut some ropes and ladders, do some DPS, and run back down for the side quest. Very good idea to have that. I just now realized there's level 95 enemies running up on us, which I've never seen before. I'm not quite sure why that's the case. There, those ones are level 100. I think those are the lore master skills, those gigantic rings of fire. I really enjoy those. Those things are awesome. And being a hunter is kind of nice. You can run back and forth if you need to. It's probably not the best idea. That team has it well underway, and I sometimes leave this side a little bit underhanded, but being a hunter, I do like having a little speed buff and just running back and forth the whole time, making sure everything's running smoothly. At least as raid leader, it's nice to do that. That way you can see if you need to stay on one side or not. See, at that point in time, if I remember right, the wall team leader had just said something about some barricades being on fire. So I told one of my guys to run up there and help him out, and he just took off up the stairs. Things hadn't gotten too hairy down here, so I felt pretty comfortable sending one guy up there without any problem. And another platinum side quest, which is awesome. I always pick up that one barricade I used and bring it up on the wall. And after that side quest is done, I just send the catapult people back to their catapults and get ready for the central wave, which should be coming here shortly. And since it's the central wall is the last one, you get, I think, what's it called? Vanguard Defilers, I believe. It's, in essence, just like the duo version, except on crack. You know, it's a lot more ramped up, and the main difference is that those shamans that plant those totems that pulse and cost you merit, those things you can't right click to disable. You have to DPS them down. I think they have like 70 or 60k morale, so it actually takes a fair amount of whooping on them to get them killed. So that's the biggest difference between this and the duo version. But I had added one person onto the target assist, and the reason for that is so if I pretty much tell them that they've got to be the one. It's everyone's job to be watching for those particular shamans, but that way, because there's so many things going on the wall, like it's really hard to see sometimes. So I have a person on the target assist window. That way, if they've targeted one of the shamans, they just call it like my target or whatnot, and everyone can just click that instead and immediately DPS them down. The hardest part about that Vanguard Defilers is not being able to see that there's those shamans up and they drop their totems like back here, which I'm dictating just 3 people that'll be in charge of this. I'll be one and another guy. We pretty much spend the entire side quest at the back of the tower because shamans come in through the windows and on the sides, and they plant totems right where I'm hopping, and they run down here and drop them here. They do that for both of the towers. So I have 2 people watch those. That's their whole job, is to make sure nothing sneaks down below. And the other 10 people are just on the wall beating up on a gigantic Uruk that scales with like almost 2 million morale. But you got to make sure that you're not just, you know, getting tunnel vision on that main Uruk. I mean, he's got a lot of morale and he's got to die quick. But you can't just be smashing buttons trying to kill him quickly. You have to constantly be wheeling around looking for those shamans. And if they drop a totem, you have to stop what you're doing and burn down that totem as quick as you can. And I'm always dropping tripwires and caltrops kind of near the back here, because they definitely drop them right here. They really drop them here, and if they drop one here, then they run down the stairs and drop more. So you gotta be watching them like a hawk. And here we go, good old Vanguard Defilers. It's actually, I've failed, well, not failed it, but I've not gotten platinum on this plenty of times, just because you end up losing sight of everything, and those stinking shamans drop them in the weirdest spots. And it's very, you get really antsy. You really want to burn that boss down. Just, that's what you do in almost every instance other than like an HD one. You just, alright, burn boss, burn boss, burn boss, watch out, watch morale, burn boss, kill ads. But this one, it's actually like, alright, burn boss, and okay, I gotta look at other stuff for a while, focus on other things. Oh, boss still alive. It's a lot different than conventional instances anyway. I like these a lot more, to be honest. Yeah, see, I really only allow myself a couple shots, and I run back out here, run down below. I'll even sometimes run up to the other guy's area who stand on the other tower, but I think things are going good here. It's also, I get really nervous in this side quest because of the normal ads from the main wave. A lot of times goes unchecked, and our soldiers or our banners end up taking a secret hit, and we're not really paying attention to it. So that's a big fear for me doing this certain side quest. And now these guys are coming up on the side walls there. Yeah, I usually can't like keep myself from running out on the wall to burn ads down. But usually right when you decide you're gonna run out on the wall and help them out is when some sneak up from the back and start dropping their totems, so every instinct tells me to run out on the wall and help them out. And there, and a third platinum. And this is actually my favorite part. This is some of my favorite parts in the game is this part right here. Because I just tell everyone to cut loose and just kill everything in sight. Just go nuts. It's a lot of fun. It's actually a lot of fun to do this. Then usually once that little high wears off from getting all 3 platinum side quests, you gotta remind people like keep cutting the grappling hooks for now until like you're confident that all the soldiers are healed, all the banners are up. You want to actually still slow down the main wave. It's no hurry at this point in time. And also run back down here and double check, make sure nothing's snuck in. There's a small little bug where those shamans keep coming, and you don't really just want them to run loose and start beating on something that isn't attacking it back. There's one of the totem collars just popped up, which doesn't harm anything now other than like he's gonna drop totems which do nothing, but you just don't want this guy running loose killing anything. And now, pretty sure the wall team will shout out whether anything's in danger, if everything's up. With 12 people of the raid up here, it's for sure probably under control. At this point in time, I usually just start saying like, alright, kill them with catapults, kill them with rock drops. We can just kill them as quick as we want now, and that way it just ends it and we can see if anyone gets more gold. And also run up the towers just to make sure, just out of paranoia, that there's nothing hiding up the tower and beating on some unarmed soldiers or something up there. Probably never happens, but I just don't really want to take any risk for the main side quest at this point in time. As you can see, the enemy's marching up, and then they disappear, which means that you're just about done. So you can just clear the wall at that point in time. And no gold drops for anyone else, just one guy got a whole bunch, which is good, I guess. At least he got something out of it. I haven't been able to get a full platinum run on any other group of side quests, to be honest. It's just this one particular side quest. The rest, you either get the bugged one, which is securing the culvert right now, is bugged. You can't actually get a platinum on it anymore. And I think Siege Under Fire is just insanely hard, so I don't really like doing that. And there it is, looks nice and pretty. All right, that is it for me then. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you later.